up, guys? Welcome to the Uncensored Chill podcast. My name's Harris.
I'm Arthur.
And right now we're going to be discussing our views on school in general, the American school system, and what we think of it.
Mm-hmm. And what flaws and what it has wrong with it and what it does well. So first off, I'd like to start off with my personal opinion about it. I think that in the most part, it works, but I feel like there's a lot of flaws with it that could definitely, use some work and some sort of change to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with that. I think a lot of times people will say that there's an issue with it, though, and they don't really have that many solutions. So it'll be interesting to see, what do you think are some good alternatives to issues? Because I'm pretty in favor of it, honestly. I don't think that I think maybe the biggest issue is that they push things that don't really need to be pushed.
Exactly, yeah.
They encourage things that maybe aren't actually the best for you because it falls with it. We kind of put education on a pedestal when I think there's a lot of other forms of education that could be had.
Yeah. Also, I think a lot of the subjects, now don't get me wrong, I think it's great that, they round, they make everyone else well-rounded, right? They make everyone well-rounded. But there's just some things that, I don't know, you need to know, there's just some subjects that just, you don't really need to know.
Well, like what? Like what?
Let's see. Biology, for instance. I mean, again, it's...
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say biology is unimportant. I mean, first off, it's really important to getting people interested in science, which I think is... But in terms of... and also, teaches kids evolution and other topics that I think just make you
just more
a better person in general. Like, if you want to be talking to someone, you want to know
yeah, you want to
the
know
basics of everything. I feel like if everyone... Because I think a lot of people feel like, we need to... Kids are too specialized. Or we need to specialize kids more from a young age, which is that they say, well, why are we teaching this topic and this topic and this topic? We should be teaching practical skills. And I'm like, well, practical skills are one thing, but I mean, is there no reason for, philosophy or discussions about things? Because you can't discuss philosophy without a finite, not finite, but, an understanding of evolution and how things progress. I think that's one of the most interesting things ever. But because you can't just teach someone from a young age. You can't just ask a 5-year-old, what do you want to do, and they say, I want to be a carpenter.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which is great. You want to teach kids carpentry, but you can't just only teach them practical skills. Kids need to know the impractical stuff. We're humans. I think education is important beyond practical means. I think it has
knowledge is power. Yeah,
right.
I think that kind of baseless argument was made off of the fact that I just hate chemistry. I'll be honest, dude. I just hate chemistry.
I mean, who doesn't?
But yeah, you're definitely right. Obviously, I don't know what the heck was up with that argument, but I think it is right that people should be well-rounded. Unfortunately, I feel like there's just some things in school that kind of, I don't know what the word is.
Is your issue more with what's being taught or the way things are taught?
The way things are taught, I would say.
So what would you rather have things taught as?
I'll be completely honest with you. I think grades are a stupid concept because the thing is you're not being tested on, grades kind of, they make you strive for a letter rather than an understanding.
Right.
So once you strive for that grade, you kind of, how many times have you, I don't remember anything from chemistry personally.
Right, I mean, I can understand that thing. But, I mean, here's my thing again. What's the alternative? If you can come up with a better way to gauge our understanding of a subject, I'd love to hear it. I think testing,
using it in some sort of activity to see if you really, get it, I think would...
But then how are you supposed to do that with things like history or, is it just writing essays? Because that's
essays are personally might work, honestly.
But I hate essays.
I hate essays too. But I mean, there has.
Is that really the alternative?
I don't think that's the only alternative. Let me see if I'd say for history. Have you alternative history, like theories and stuff like that? I think those are like a great. It's still an essay, granted, but
right.
It's still a really good way to test your creative usage of historical facts and stuff like that.
So first off, so you have an issue with testing, right? Or letter grades?
Letter grades, yeah.
Right. More. I mean, I think people, again, they look too much into it. Even if I'm not good at... Even if the only reason that I would pass a history test was because I crammed the night before and now I forgot everything. Is that not an important skill to teach kids that sometimes you're gonna have to understand things you don't care about,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important. Like that's how everyone's always
Yeah,
like.
I'm not arguing against
Like
the fact that
people
you should.
always say, okay, here is, why should we learn this math concept or this kind of thing? It teaches you abstract thinking.
Yeah.
Without mathematics, how are you supposed to think about things that aren't? And you can ask, where does that help you? I'm not sure. That's a good question, I think, is where do you need to learn, like, think about abstractly? But I think it's important, if you should be taught to understand things that you don't care about, and that, just are necessary for society.
I think one thing I will say is I think this like, I don't want to say that my point of view is based off of this, but there's definitely this mainstream idea of, I hate school.
Yeah.
Like, if there was less of this, like, more, if the, because you remember in the Renaissance, everyone was passionate or I wouldn't say everyone, but a good majority of the public was passionate in reading and stuff, because that was the norm. Like, if you learn something, you'll just become a better person.
I mean, that is our current understanding. I'm sure that, you guys can tell us about how, actually, there was only 2% of the population that was really into learning, and the rest were all poor farmers. Okay, we get it, but we're just making a point.
Yeah, that's just the point, yeah. Basically, it's just, I feel like in order for school to be taken more seriously, we need to just make school kind of, liking school kind of mainstream. But at the same time, I feel like, again, grades are kind of stopping it from being that, like, force that, or not that force, but that enriching experience. I mean,
school is work.
It is work.
There's no reason that school should be this, like, super, because, if you're not into the subject, I don't know how you can teach a subject, any subject, in a way that every kid's gonna like it.
Yeah, that's true, yep.
Some kids, it's like I was saying, a lot of people, they're good at learning. Some kids are just better at picking up information the way that we teach it, It's not fair to penalize those kids for being good at that thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're good at running, and, should we move everyone to the same... Should we make sure everyone lands at the same goal at the same time? Because this is the issue with No Child Left Behind.
Yeah.
It drags every child back instead of pushing everybody forward. If instead of saying, hey, Arthur, you're really good at running, so how about we make sure that Jimmy here has a, 20-yard head start because he's not as good as you.
That's true, yeah.
That's not fair. I guess that's super fair. Because if you were able to mathematically calculate that, because of his genetics, if he works just as hard as you, the only way he would be able to make it is if he was 20 yards ahead. That's fair. That's the pinnacle of fairness.
Yeah.
But that's just not how we do things. I don't think it's a good way to do things, is that you can't,
One thing I did see is that in certain private schools, they have the teachers kind of, obviously this adds a lot more work to the teacher's, job.
Yeah.
What I heard was that these teachers, they basically get to know the students better, right?
Yeah.
And they shape the way they talk to these students and get to know them based on how they learn and stuff like that. So it would help the student personally kind of learn to that sort of, they would learn the curriculum in more of at their own pace almost. So it would kind of even out the field, but without putting anyone at a disadvantage.
But then, okay, so that's the one thing though, is of course, some kids learn slower than other kids. But then, how are you supposed to teach a class that has a kid who learns very fast and a kid who learns very slow? The question is, do you meet them in the middle? Do you work with the kid who's smart? Because that kid actually is going to go somewhere with this material, so might as well let them learn. Or do you just dumb it down for the kid who is very slow? Because, that's why we have honors classes. That's why we have, of course, we're from America, so we're talking about the American system. We have honors classes, we have, AP classes, all that. If you're slower, you go to the slower classes. We already kind of have a system of making sure kids go where they belong, and I think a bigger issue is that kids will sign up for AP and honors classes
and not be able to
handle it. That's your fault. I'm sorry.
That's true.
If you sign up for a class you can't handle, you shouldn't even be allowed to go crying to the teacher and say, I wish I signed up for honors. I'm not ready for AP. That's your problem. You deal with it. You signed up for that class. You knew the risk. maybe I'm an asshole. I don't think that it's good for kids to just be.
I think you're right. One thing, in fact, that I did learn in school was that, well, this wasn't a specific class. It was in AP Human Geography. Is that an education system is judged as better if there are more teachers per student.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was thinking of is, I mean, obviously this would be pretty expensive, but if you have, let's just say theoretically, if you have one teacher per student, do you think that like asking your opinion, do you think that would be better, or do you think that'd be too much? I feel
that's interesting, because again, it's better in terms of will they learn more material faster, yes. But is it better in the fact that they will be more productive citizens when they grow up? I think no. Kids need to learn how to struggle. You know? It's very, very important for somebody who's not smart to strive and to work harder than their peers. If everybody has to work the same amount for the goal, everyone's not going to work. That's what I think, you know?
Maybe.
I mean, I think, yeah, kids would learn more. I do not doubt that if everyone just had a private tutor. If instead of even going to school, we just said, hey, how about we have every parent just hire a private tutor for their kid? That will just replace school, because that's how they used to do it. I think, you know, people would hire private tutors for their children, and they would learn that way. But I think it doesn't allow for kids to push themselves to match their peers, and also doesn't teach them to be good at that kind of learning. But it's a very interesting one. I'd love to see maybe a small scale school that does that. But of course, who wants to become a teacher?
That's true. I mean, it adds jobs, you know, sometimes. I mean, you have that situation where you need more jobs. Some people will just take it, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, that would mean you're getting very unskilled labor, and you don't want some rando teaching your kids.
Yep.
I mean, of course, that brings me to, I mean, should we pay teachers more? Yeah.
Also, you brought up all these points, and that comes to, like, what is school, basically? Because is it meant to make kids, like, ready for labor, or is it making them more well-rounded, or is it getting them ready for the rest of their life?
Well, in a perfect system, it'd be all of those things. But that's a very, very good point that I hadn't really thought of. Is that what's the point of school?
Exactly.
Why do we go to school? Is it just something we waste our time with? You know, it's.
I mean, see, it depends, because if the meaning of school is to teach kids to be well-rounded, I think that then school should be completely separate from the, like, getting approved to go to college or get a job, because I mean, I think that should be a completely different, like, tier itself. So you go to school first, and then you start working with, like, you know, studying to go to a, like, college or something like that, I feel, because you learn all this, you learn everything in school, you don't struggle, but then you start struggling in the second tier before you go to college or your job. I don't know.
But I mean, who struggles in elementary school?
No one. I mean, if you realize that elementary school doesn't matter, you don't struggle.
Yeah.
That's the thing, it doesn't matter.
I mean, then I understand what you're saying, but, I mean, well, if it's to make kids well-rounded, it's to push them, I think. You know, we need to push them into doing something and to learn how to do things they don't enjoy. But then again, you know, there are those kids who, people I know very closely, that grew up just being good at school, naturally good at school, you know, and they would try their hardest. I mean, they wouldn't really, because they were already good. They were fine with the B. They're just, screw it, I'm just going to not try.
Yeah.
I did good on tests.
That's totally me.
And then finally, when they actually get to a challenging course, they don't know how to study. They have no skills. You know, I think school actually benefits the bad student more than it benefits in terms of teaches them skills on how to learn how to. I mean, of course, every child is different, you know. But I think the kids who are actually, you know, not the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they really do kind of get a better grasp on things.
Yeah, that's true. Completely forgot what I was gonna say.
No, sorry.
I can actually segue into another topic that has to kind of do with, like, struggling to study and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on standardized testing?
Standardized testing, I think, is bad only because it's standardized. I don't have the issue with the testing portion. I think testing is important. The issue I have is with, you know, kids in different areas being forced to learn similar things. You know, like, why would Common Core be standardized? Things like that. If one area finds that kids are actually doing better with a certain thing, I don't think it's up to the government or any other sort of overarching body to say kids need to learn this way.
I agree with that.
You know, I mean, public schools, I think, should be more of a state-run or county-run facility, and that's how it should be.
Also, one issue I also have is, like, literally sometimes I experienced this with AP Lang, is that the entire class was focused on learning to the test and not really, it's just kind of preparing you for the test rather than preparing you for, learning or like actually learning the subject itself.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is the big problem with standardized testing. But, I mean, again, it does teach you a skill, which is that, it's good to memorize things, because, you use that a lot, I think, when you're an adult. You just memorize things, you need to learn things, but again, it does benefit one kind of student.
Again, also, another point I wanted to bring back, or that's pertaining to that, like, that one kind of student is, in some cases, those are outliers, though. That's the thing. So if there's that one kind of student who's excelling in everything and the rest is just kind of, same level, then maybe the school system isn't as flawed as I perhaps thought. Maybe it's just, there's just those, like, guys who just slip through, guys or girls that just are good at it,
Yeah, but I mean, I think the issue mostly that I have with school, and this is the biggest point, I think, is school is not a determinant, or shouldn't be, and isn't really a determinant of your future successes.
I agree.
People feel like, and I think it's because you're taught from a young age, and this is the biggest issue I have with the way schools are taught, is they say if you're not good at school, you're not going to be good at life, you're not going to be good at getting a job. That's BS.
I disagree with that,
I think it's important for kids to go to school, but I think that they need to show, okay, if you're not good at learning school, don't go to college.
Yeah.
Don't try and become a doctor, you're going to fail. Don't just get a stupid degree that's easy. Yeah. I mean, if you're not good at school, you have plenty of options, I mean, you can do, plumbing or electrician, or you could even, if you're really just not smart, because people just aren't smart. There are certain people who just aren't smart. That's okay. I'm not fast. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think those people need to know their limits, and they say, hey, you know what, maybe I won't be Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
I should strive for a jogger, and they can strive for, if you know your limits. And I think that's what we should teach kids is, no, because the issue is if we tell every kid, oh, you're smart, you're good at this, you're not, because they're not. We should teach kids, okay, maybe you should strive to become the manager of a McDonald's. That's your...
And if that's not what they love to do, they'll find a way to do something they love at the same time, I think.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Work is work, and hobbies are hobbies.
Yeah, exactly.
Why does everyone try and make their hobby a job? That's my question.
Because I guess, I mean, when you think about it, do you want to stay working at a McDonald's?
Of course not. But I mean, how many people? You think everybody could make their hobby a job?
Definitely not.
Is anyone's hobby being an open heart surgeon? No. But we need those people. We need people to put aside, their hobbies. Nobody's hobby is being a cop. Maybe your hobby is driving around, but then you become a truck driver.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Pay, it's kind of, I guess, unrelated because it's more economic, but pay usually coaxes people to do those jobs.
Right. That's true, but also desperation coaxes people to do those jobs. If you are in a rough area and someone's like, I'm a teacher. I mean, I think that's also passion. If you're really passionate about teaching kids, you'll do it regardless of the pay.
Yeah, exactly.
The important thing is what the pay is before you get in. I mean, I do struggle to understand why so many teachers seem to be surprised by the lack of pay. They're protesting all this. I'm like, well, you knew what it was getting in, didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, let us know. What are your opinions on these things?
I mean, there's a lot of teachers who just might have had to be put in the job, and they're just, one thing I will say is that some people willingly become teachers. Like, for example, I mean, obviously they do, but a good example, kind of a funny example, is CPG Gray. You know him, right?
Yeah.
Literally, he said he became a teacher because he liked the vacation hours. So literally, it's just, I mean, there's some advantages to every job.
Of course. And one of my teachers was telling me that, it's a good way to spend time with your family. If you're a family man, teacher's a good way to go.
Exactly.
I mean, you can every day your kids get home the same time as you do. You spend time with them. You have the same vacations as them.
Exactly.
I mean, if your focus on life is family and you love kids,
then maybe
teaching is a really good option. But you have to know. I mean, there's not all upsides to everything.
You have to know
to be completely fair. I mean, you're working. There is a chunk of the year that's cut out of your pay. And you also have all the breaks. just included there, and you also have your teacher, sick days and whatnot. So
exactly.
you do have quite a bit of time off from working. I mean, I haven't run the numbers to see how that compares to other jobs.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's not terrible.
Yeah, we should probably get some sort of not mechanism, some sort of digital tablet to look things up.
We'll definitely repeat this episode. Or send us your feedback. Tell us exactly. what do you think of this episode. We will do a see what you guys are saying and trying to respond, because I think everybody's understanding of things should not be stuck in the mud. They should be fluid.
Yeah,
everyone's
exactly.
opinions should change throughout their life. If you're the same person you were 5 years ago, you wasted 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, not at all. I mean, that's a good point, though, is that...
We'll get, some sort of tablet running to...
I don't know. I mean, running numbers, that's the thing for afterwards, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely.
We'll never know.
They'll let us know, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you will, if anyone's listening.
Yeah. But, pretty much, wait, I forgot where you left. Oh, yeah, the pay, when you're during the summer or something like that. I think that... Well, you see, CPG Grafe, in all that vacation time, he found a way to make money. I mean... Yeah.
Of course. And I also think you do have some downtime for your hobbies and whatnot.
Exactly.
But really, I think everybody, they need to understand that school is not how you succeed.
Exactly. It's not...
you can become an entrepreneur, you can become this and that. School is not the end-all, be-all of success. And I think in a lot of ways, it shouldn't be, but it is for a lot of things, if you are able to... learn everything you need to learn to become I don't want to say doctor, but you know what I'm saying, like an engineer, right?
Yeah.
You should not need an engineering degree.
You could
if you learned everything, like how computer programmers are, they can learn everything by themselves, they can get a job.
Yeah.
You can't learn everything about how to be an engineer and then get an engineering job. Well, at least I don't think so. They want to see that you have the degree, which I think is stupid. If you're able to learn on your own, it should not be mandatory that you go to school.
See, one thing I admire about Elon Musk is I saw a video, and he was talking about basically how he doesn't require his employees to have a degree or go to college, which I think was very admirable. Because also I think he has his own doubts about the school system and that whole thing.
I think school should be for school's sake, and
I agree.
That's why I think people will say that getting certain degrees is not valuable. I think they're all valuable. I think the timing is kind of messed up in people's heads, because why would you want to get a degree that's not going to serve you? If you're really into art history, let's say, you should not get an art history degree straight out of high school. That should be something you do in retirement. Yeah, I'm thinking,
exactly.
Get some kind of schooling.
When you're stable, when you economically stable.
Yeah, because that's not going to help you get a job. And people should be honest about that. It should just be, there are some degrees, like nursing is a degree where you get the degree, you get the job. Pretty much, of course. There's always outliers. And there's, doctors, you get the degree, you get the job. There's, lawyers, stuff like that. That, the degree follows the job follows the degree. 99% of the time. There's other degrees like history or English that it's not as clear cut. And I think that you shouldn't have to take it if you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, a big problem with...
Sorry about that. We just had a technical difficulty.
Yeah, we're still figuring things out.
Right back out, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But, so as I was saying earlier, just like a second ago, because I got cut off by the machine, is that I was saying that basically degrees aren't always desirable because they obviously come with a huge financial burden, obviously. Like some people have 60-year student loans they have to pay off, and, obviously that's not something everyone can afford to...
But see, this is the thing, though. I feel like if you want to get a degree for a job, it makes sense. It's financially feasible.
And
I can understand it's investment in your life. The issue is we tell every child they need a degree. And degree is, it's like a point of pride, like I'm the first person in my family to get a degree.
Yeah.
But if that degree is not something useful, it shouldn't be a point of pride in my opinion.
Exactly.
You should be proud that you have the best job in your family for generations. The degree shouldn't matter. I feel like a degree is just like the same thing as apprenticeship. It's just a stepping stone for your success. I think the big issue with people is that, again, they're just...
It gets in their head that you need a degree.
You need a degree, and they'll be like, well, I'm not smart enough to get a doctorate or get a PhD or something useful, so I'm just going to get a really fast, you know, something that's, you know, it's easy. They're picking a cake degree.
Also, one thing I see is that a lot of these things might be influenced by parental pressure or
Definitely.
like peer pressure.
Definitely. I mean, parents, I think they don't understand times are changing and, you know, degrees are more expensive. They're not a guarantee. They're not a gateway. People, you know, the parents will actually tell their kids, you know, just get whatever degree you want, you know, you'll get more money. I'm like, you're setting your kid up for failure. You know, degrees are not just jobs anymore. And I don't think they're necessary either. I think you should be a very, very valuable choice to say, hey, you know what? I think my peak would probably be being a truck driver. That should be fine. You should be allowed to do that.
You figure it out, like for yourself in the end.
And the other thing is, why do we force kids to go straight into college right after high school?
Exactly. Take a year, travel around the world. You know, do whatever you want to figure yourself out. Then maybe jump into college.
Right. I mean, at least the good thing about America is we are a lot more lenient than I think places like England.
Yeah.
You know, they have a system where by year 13 you've already picked out what degree you're going to have, and you are working towards it. And there's not really a good way to be like, well, I have some credits for this course, so I'll just, you know, no. For American schools, it's a little different where you're able to say, okay, I have this many credits, and I can just do this and that. But, you know, I mean, that's the good thing about American schools. We do allow for that. But I think we just don't encourage kids to understand their limits.
One thing I want to point out is that we're not like, the American school system is definitely like one of the most privileged, and I don't want to make it sound like, oh, we're
complaining.
We're not complaining. We're just identifying some of the flaws that in maybe not even the school system itself, but like the culture that surrounds it.
Exactly.
That you know, that maybe prevents it from being at its full potential. So I mean, really,
yeah. I mean, when you look at it, school is amazing. There's no denying how much of an impact it has on people's lives, and you know, there's kids in other countries that dream of having schools that we go to.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you don't. And I think that's the issue that I have with a lot of kids. Even if they have good points, it always seems like they're complaining when they talk about, oh, you know, I wish, you know, school doesn't allow for kids to grow and this and that. I'm like, you know how privileged you are to even be allowed to have this kind of system. And if you can't come up with a better solution or a better way of teaching, you know, why even complain so much? Yeah, because it's never the good student who's like, you know, perfect at everything, who's like, I have the biggest issue. It's always the kid who doesn't try. But I mean, of course, it's a stereotype. I'm sure a lot of you guys can tell us how much we're wrong. And I'd love to hear it, you know, because I love to have my opinion changed. Because really, who knows?
It's always good to be enlightened in a specific way we didn't see, you know. Because, like, I mean, obviously, I mean, just, you know.
I mean, we're speaking off the cuff right now.
Yeah.
You know, we just, we're in nature right now. You know, we have on like a park bench surrounded by forest. So it's a beautiful place. But, you know, we're not trying to give you a, you know, definitive point or showing that we're right or you know, you're wrong. We're just
we're just talking it out, figuring it out, you know.
Yeah, we're just uncensored chill. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you have any feedback, you need to tell us, and we'll be willing. We're open-minded. We're willing to change our opinions.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, obviously, it kind of sounds like egotistical to say, "Oh, I'm open-minded." But
right. Because everyone says they're open-minded until someone tries to change their mind.
Yeah. It's like we're willing to accept your feedback and your, you know, obviously your differing points of view if you have any. So, you know, just let us know. Because, I mean, as of now, we're kind of set on the consensus that the American school system isn't, you know, necessarily bad, but perhaps the culture that surrounds it is flawed.
Definitely is. So let us know what you guys think. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Uncensored Chill.
That's right.
See you guys next time.
Yeah, see you guys next time.